everyone, it's Jackie at Spare Room Studio. I am back with part 2 colouring this squirrel page in the Creatures of Ken Matsuda. This is the Hatchet Heroes version, and I started the first part with water-based markers, all from Crayola. I used the Crayola Supertips. I'll just make sure that my lighting's a bit better here if I can. The Crayola Pipsqueaks and also the Crayola Clicks is what I have used so far on this page. And I was going to use Crayola coloured pencils, but I decided against that, and I've actually got my set of Prismacolor Premier pencils, the 150 set. And I've decided that we're going to give those a go because I haven't actually used those in this particular book here before. So, get myself comfortable. Sorry for any of the noise from the chair. So, I need to make a little bit of space just to open up this box here. And I have still got all the pencils in their original packaging. I haven't put them into a pencil case or anything as yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that at this point in time. So I'm just looking for the greens to start with. I want to start deepening up some of these areas in here. I've got dark green and peacock green. And I don't work from swatches. If you haven't watched me before, this is the first time watching me. I don't actually do swatches, so some of these colours I'm familiar with and some I am not. But I tend to fly by the seat of my pants, and I start using them and adjust as I go along. That's how I do colour choices. So I just want to get a little bit of darkness going in some of these areas. Now I've actually got a Prismacolor sharpener here. And I'm going to keep it with quite a short squat tip, I think, for now. And those pencils are working very nicely on this paper, on top of the Crayola Super Tip base. So I wanted to start suggesting that this squirrel has got grass growing amongst its fur. So grass and fur, when we're colouring, have got very similar looking textures. So that's, sorry, I was distracted by something going on outside. That is one thing about sitting in this different room, is that I actually can see out the front of the house. So I can see people going by and cars going by, and just found myself getting a bit distracted then. Now, peacock green. So much more of a blue green. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that to suggest sort of shadowy areas of greenery. So Hamish is in here, and of course, if you're not familiar with my background, Hamish is a rescue dog who is extremely fearful. We adopted him in May, and he gets very scared of things like shadows and reflections. And this is now Kelly green. And when the cars are going by and the sun reflects off of glass, it's casting reflections and things on the wall. And he's running around a bit because he's not sure of the reflections and the shadows in this room. But that's the sort of things that we're having to deal with this dog, is that any changes like that in his, you know, routine or his lived experiences, I guess you could say, to this point, really unnerve and unsettle him, and it takes quite a bit of time for him to adjust. And hopefully he'll get used to just coming in here with me, or I'm going to have to shut him out if he can't, because that's what he will do. He'll keep running around and he's scooting about and he's looking and he's, you know, he's looking at all the shadows and watching everything and so on. And it can be really off-putting to sort of have to watch that and put up with that. And I realise he can't help that, you know, that's not his fault. But we are still adjusting to how to deal with all of these things. I've got apple green and spring green here. So apple green first. So in this section, I just really want to suggest lots of texture. And I'm using the lines that Ken Matsuda has drawn on. There's a lot of hatching and sketched lines and so on to describe the direction of fur and that sort of thing. So I'm just following that at the moment. I do have his original artwork here and I'm really loosely looking at that. This is spring green. And it really is just a very, very loose guide. And tone down some of those yellows into greens. So you might be able to hear his footsteps out there. He is still pacing about. And now I have got chartreuse green. Now this set of 150 Prismacolors is a pretty new set. I purchased it a few months ago, but I haven't touched it. I was using some other things up first before I started using these, but now that I have had a taste of them, of course I'm enjoying using them, so they're going to start coming out a little bit more. So I've probably got a bit more green in here than what Ken has in his original. Now I'm looking for a deeper red. I've got Scarlet Lake. So where some of those Supertips have left harder edges and a bit, you know, I was quite loose and blocky with my colouring, I'm just trying to blend some of that in so it's not quite so harsh, but I don't want to make this super detailed either. I don't want to lose all of the looseness, and this is permanent red that I've got here now. There's just a few little areas where I'd like to exploit some of the details because there's some lovely details drawn in. Ken, in his original artwork, is quite lovely for the details. So I'm just going to play them up in a few areas like the mushrooms and possibly in that bird's face and the squirrel up here, and then the rest I want to be quite loose and, you know, very much the watercolour wash. So I want these mushrooms to be quite vibrant and be the, you know, the main source of pops of colour. And then the rest is going to be very much like watercolour washes. This one is crimson red. So there doesn't appear to be a lot of oranges, like true oranges in this set. If I'm, might be a bit wrong, but so this is yellowed orange and Spanish orange that I'm going to use. Just to make those mushrooms really come alive. And maybe a little touch over here. I must try and remember to show you the back of the page because the Click's retractable pen did bleed through quite a bit, and I also had a little bit more bleed through over here behind this mushroom. But other than that, it wasn't too bad for bleed through. Now I've got canary yellow. This is not quite as brown as what Ken has got in the original. So I might actually use let's have a look. A combination of sienna brown and dark umber. So dark umber is going to give us the darker shadowy areas. I'm just going to use that at the edges here to put some detail in around this eye. When you're looking to get a lot of impact with some detail, eyes very much are one of those areas that you know should make a feature of, because I think it's in the eyes that the real life and soul of that animal or person or whatever really comes alive when you get the eye just right. So it really is an area of focus for me that I think is important to highlight. You know, you can portray a fair amount of information on plants and flowers and stuff without too many details. But if you really want your piece to come alive and, you know, have some impact and really pop, then I think it's really important to try and get these eyes right. So I'm going to bring a bit of colour in there. Same for that. And of course a nice highlight is always good for an eye. So again, I'm using Ken's picture that I have off to the side here. I have an iPad off to the side of me that I'm looking at his original painting and where he's got the colours and the lights and the darks and so on, and I'm using that as a guide. I don't have the exact colours, but it's still giving me an idea of where I need the dark and the light. You know, irrespective of what I'm using as a colour, it's giving me a sense of the depth of tone that I need. In various areas. If I want to really make it pop. So thank you to everyone who gave me some feedback in the last video before this series. I asked for a little bit of feedback on the type of format of videos, and you all, well, majority of you said that you like chatty, real-time videos rather than sped up videos, and like to see the whole process of, you know, deciding colours and talking about why I choose to do some things that I do. So that's great, because this current style of video, oh, that's pretty bad. Can you see that? Look at that quality control there. That is terrible. that is meant to be pale sage. So we've got half of the body of the pen missing there. Body of the pencil, sorry, the wood. Wow, that's not very good. Oh well, I can still use it, but it's very frustrating. What was I saying? Yeah, the chatty sort of casual, relaxed video where I just talk about what I'm doing and do it in real time and so on with not too much editing is actually the easiest way for me to record. So thank you for those who've said that they don't mind it this way, because I'd rather spend my time colouring than editing. Oh, sorry, I just try and focus that back. There we go, sorry about that. Yeah, I'd rather spend my time colouring and explaining what I'm doing than actually spending the time editing. So I appreciate that a lot. You know, if you guys are happy to keep putting up with me doing it this way. I need white. Make sure if that's in focus for you, hopefully. And I just want to lighten up some of these areas here again. And he's got more of a highlight here than I've left. So we'll start to get some lights and darks in, and hopefully start to make it come alive a little bit more. I could do with a bit more blending into there. So this is Putty Beige. It's one of my sort of favourite neutral colours, is the ginger root and the Putty Beige. So if I could find the ginger root. Let's have a look. There we go. Ginger root. Sorry about that. It's just got that sort of yellowy hint to it. Yellowy, greeny sort of neutral. Ginger root is one of those colours that I've often picked up open stock, even before I had the set of full set of Prismacolor. I used to buy open stock colours that I just enjoyed a lot, and ginger root was one of those, along with the Putty Beige and I think a few warm greys or French grey or something like that. Okay, I think we're going quite well here. This area here looks like it could do with a little bit extra something. So I'm thinking maybe some goldenrod. Just to start toning down some of that really garish colour that I put with the Supertips, which is nice for a base, but then I'm just toning that down a fraction with the goldenrod now. And I like the way the Prismacolors blend together. I'm not trying to colour every single hair. That's not what I want, but what I want is to just show the blending of the colours in the fur. I think I need a bit lighter in there. I'll come back to the white again. So I don't want to read it to read as white, but I just want to lighten up some of that area. And that might be a little bit too big, but I also need to put some black back into there, so okay. So the white acrylic paint pen would be best for that little highlight there in the eye. Okay, I hope that looks looking okay for you guys on the screen. I think maybe in this area needs a little bit of definition. This is electric blue. I'm just doing a little bit of that to liven that area up. And then to work in conjunction with that, I'm going to use, let's try some black grape in there. And then I'm going to use a little bit of dioxazine purple hue, 132. And I'm going to use that as a little bit of a pick-me-up in the shadows here. And a little bit in here. So in those deepest, darkest areas, I'm just going to use a little bit of this purple just to give it a little bit of life, so that the darkest areas don't just look like a black void. And we might use a little bit of that here on the bird as well, just to tie that together. And that is a really nice purple. So that isn't something that Ken has used in there, but that I just thought would be a nice little touch. And then if I could have that electric blue again. I'm just going to do a few little flashes of that here and there in the green. Just to break up some of that and into the red. And it just breaks up that those areas of being too much of a muchness, but it's going to tie it back into all that that's going on to the back of his body there, where he's got all the life growing out of him there. Sometimes I find if you just use that little touch of a bright blue somewhere near where there's a highlight, it just makes the highlight pop a bit more. But instead of just being white highlight, it's you know, pretty lively. It's like the light is reflecting back onto something else. And let's put a bit of that up here. Okay, let me have a look at that in the screen, see what you're seeing. So hopefully this area now, although it's not meant to be highly detailed, hopefully it's starting to make a bit more sense. I want this area to be really loose still on the bird. The idea was to keep his face more focused. The same with the squirrel. I wanted his eye in focus, and I wanted a little bit of detail here, but the rest to be very loose. And I think we've managed to keep some of that. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm totally deluded. But yeah, I'm liking that. I don't think too much else needs to be done there, to be fair. I think the only thing that I would like to do is with this fluorescent looking yellow super tip is I just want to bring in a little bit of touches of that if I can. I know that really stands out on the camera, but it's not too bad in real life. And I think what I'd like to do is just at the very end here, because my battery's getting low, is just put a bit of background into here with some Crayola Supertips. This is going to have to be quite quick because my battery is getting low. And I'm thinking quite a purpley grey if I can get it. So that, so I'll just show you quickly how I'll do that in case I cut off. If I run out of time and my battery goes flat and I cut off, I apologise and I'll say goodbye now in case it does. But what I want you to see is this. Just bring you down a little bit there. Is that I want to do some very wet areas like this, and I'm going to use a combination of a dark grey, a very lilac-y purple, and a bluish purple. And my hope is that it's going to do a little bit of maybe granulation and separation of colour and all blend into each other. And hopefully I won't get too much of a bleed out from the actual marker that I've used on these items. You can see it's starting to separate there. I've done this quite wet, and I want it to look very much like very loose, splashy, almost like somebody has spilt colour on there. That's the hope. And yeah, I just want it to look quite loose, random, and not too carefully placed. I want some bits where the water has left hard-edged watermarks. And let's just do a little bit down here. Now hopefully you'll see this finished page. If I don't quite finish it here and we run out of time, I apologise now, but I do have a very low battery. You will see it in my completed pages at the end of the month, or head over to Instagram if you have Instagram and check me out there. It's Spare Room Studio on Instagram, and the finished image will be posted up on there. Because it's going to take a bit of time for this to dry. It's very wet, and it will take a little bit of time too for the colours to separate properly, because as it's drying they tend to separate a little bit more, and you know, you just get different looks than you were necessarily expecting. This is all very much you know, out of my hands. I can control some of the colour, but a lot of the blending, bleeding and colour separation and such is totally out of my hands. Very random, and the results can be very unexpected. So, you know, you fly by the seat of your pants a bit doing it this way, but it really can't be planned. And the whole appeal of it is the fact that it isn't planned and it is random, and it tends to do its own thing. Okay, so for example, put some clean colour into there, and that's going to make that even more obvious the way that the bleeding's going. It can be manipulated very slightly, but yeah, truly it's very random and uncontrolled. So if you have a look at this area here, for example, you can see how that's all bleeding. I can tip the paper and manipulate it a little bit, but it's really going to go wherever it wants to go to a certain extent. So there you go. I will put a picture of the completed page will be on the thumbnail, so you will see that. Otherwise, watch out for this page on the completed pages at the end of the month, or head over to Instagram and have a look. So thanks for being with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different. Not necessarily, again, how I had pictured it in my head, but it's pretty good. It's not bad, and I really like the way that bird turned out. Okay, so I'll say goodbye for now. See you in the next one. Happy colouring, everyone.